Okay, everyone, so here's the tea. It's not October yet, it's not the creepy season yet, but this quarantine is really bringing out the weird in everyone. So I have been seeing a lot of unseasonable creep bait lately. If you have been here for a while, you may recall my video on common hairwork myths, where I discuss the creepbait epidemic. Creepbait is much like any clickbait, however, they use, look at this creepy image, this weird, grotesque thing. And very often it's centered around something like hair jewelry, hair work, things that if you know the history and the sentiment of it, it's not necessarily creepy, but they use things that give you a knee-jerk reaction, like, look, human hair, and everyone's collective minds are blown. So a while back, there was a hashtag curator battle on Twitter. This is nothing new. It's been around for a little while. It's great fun. If you have Twitter, I recommend keeping up with your local museums or your favorite museums across your country or the world, because these curator battles can be really quite fun. I am not a curator in the traditional museum sense, but I've even participated in some of these with some items from my own personal collection. So I guess follow me on Twitter, and while you're at it, follow some of your favorite museums on Twitter. But for now, I want to talk about the museum curator's creepiest object. These hashtag battles tend to revolve around a theme. One day, I think recently they had like, show me the butts of your museum, and there were just marbled statues of men's behinds all over Twitter. That was an unfortunate day for me. I wasn't very into it. But I actually saw and participated in this creepiest item. So shortly after this curator battle, started coming the articles, sharing with the broader internet what those crazy curators are doing over on Twitter. I am going into this one almost completely blind, so you are going to get to see my live reactions and responses to this lovely article. Museum curators around the world reveal their creepiest objects. Creepy dolls that look like props straight from a horror movie. Victorian hair art to memorialize the dead. I read that and stopped right there. That was the moment I knew I needed to do this on camera for you, because, of course, creepy Victorian hair art to memorialize the dead. Of course, people are gonna say that's the creepiest thing, but why, oh why, is hair art in quotes? That's not a euphemism or a metaphor. It is actually art made out of hair. It is hair art. So the quotes just really get me. So we are going to explore this article together. Let's go. With museums shut down amid the coronavirus pandemic, many museums are giving virtual tours showing off their prized ancient artifacts and their most treasured pieces of artwork. But curators are also getting creative by taking to Twitter for a show and tell of sorts. One of the most recent ones asked curators to unveil their hashtag creepiest object. Let's just say Halloween came early this year. Instigating the challenge was the Yorkshire Museum of York, England. I think I saw this one on this day. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's a mosquito in here. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is hair. Really old hair. Let's see. All right, so here we have the original tweet that started this hashtag curator battle. Museums assemble. It is time. Today's theme is creepiest object. We're kicking things off with this 3rd, 4th century hair bun from the burial of a Roman lady, still with the jet pins in place. Can you beat it? So, yes, admittedly, just a ball of hair may be a little more creepy than an actual piece of artwork made with hair. But still, it's hair. It grows on our head. I get not everybody is as used to seeing and touching and working with hair as often as I am, but hair is hair. We all deal with it in some form or another. So let's see how some of the other museums responded. This author writes, as Twitter quickly learned, museums are home to a lot of creepy dolls. Oh yes, we do so love our creepy dolls. I have a few of them myself. Often made with human hair. This museum answers the creepiest object with, you've heard of the haunted doll Annabelle, now get ready for Isabel. Dating back to 1851, this is one of the older dolls in our collection, known as Mad Alice. So this is interesting. This cute little lady appears to be made out of wax. As they state here, the wax faces crack over time. Cracked doll faces, not gonna lie, do add to the creep element, naturally. What I want to know is if that's real human hair. It looks like a lot of her hair is kind of tucked behind her shoulders, so it's a little difficult to tell from just the photo, but that was definitely a time period where human hair was used on dolls, so there is a strong possibility that is also hair. I wonder what percentage... Oh! The Museum of London sees your Mad Alice doll and raises you this Georgian doll with real human hair. Speaking of real human hair, it's like these museums of the past can read my mind. The museum confessed it actually has 60 dolls with human hair. That's one thing a lot of people don't understand. Dolls with human hair were extraordinarily common across many hundreds of years and from several different cultures as well. This wasn't just a Victorian thing. Human hair was just a very, very easy fiber to use to emulate, well, hair. Okay, so we have a little Georgian doll sporting a fashionable silk dress and checks notes, human hair. So here, at least the previous doll was like, oh, the wax face is cracked. This one is, this doll has human hair. So the human hair is the creepy element. It's the creep factor. It's the creep bait. Look, it's human hair. Oh, I love it. I wonder what percentage of these items are hair. Of course, this article, I'm sure, is just going to be a small sampling of the items that were shared that day. Now, the next museum answers with, imagine rummaging through an archive and unwrapping this! Broken doll heads with many parts with fair hair. So, yeah, that's a broken doll. That's unfortunate. Poor doll. Again, I wonder if that's real hair. 1920? Possible, maybe a little less likely than the doll from the mid-1800s. Although, just imagine opening a drawer. I have heard stories from countless curators who, while exploring their archives, rifling through the collection, they'll just open up an envelope or a book or a drawer and behold, human hair! And I have heard many stories of curators being very taken off guard by some surprise hair. Introducing Myrtle! Oh, she is a lovely lady. Yep, don't like those eyes or those teeth. Again, gotta wonder about the hair. This is very doll and or hair heavy. Is this our very first one that is not a doll and or hair? We have a cursed children's toy from a 155-year-old mansion. Is that a sheep? It looks like a sheep on wheels. I've seen creepier toys. Oh, we've got a clown band. Clown bands are always fun. Much more recent. Oh, it's note the scrapbooks were donated in 1981. This is from the 1920s clown band. You know, actually I have a photo like this. Mine is the clown faces and hats. I do actually have a photo very much like this that is a band which my great-grandmother and grandmother both played in. Very similar set out with the two rows of people. So I kind of like that. I get that some people don't like clowns. I'm not one of those people. I'm cool with clowns. One of my best friends is a clown. Actually, you may have seen him before. He made a cameo in my Grudge Against Sears video. Just had a thought, not our objects, but we did once borrow a silver snuff box said to contain the pubic hair of King George's mistress. Yes, I have heard of such thing. Pubic hair, that is unfortunate. That is a lot more unfortunate than head hair. I'm not gonna lie, I don't much like that. Apparently, if I remember the story correctly, it was supposed to be a joke, sending the pubic hair of his mistress to someone when she actually asked for a lock of his own hair, which presumably she meant head hair. Yep, not gonna lie, don't like that. I have been asked before if I would do custom orders with pubic hair, and the answer is a hard no. Never. Don't even try it. That's my limit. I don't have a lot of limits. Hair, fine. Teeth, bones, blood, fine. Books bound in human skin, fine. Necropants, fine. Pubic hair, not going there. Won't do it, can't. Refuse. Oh, we've got some delightful 18th century diving suits. Not inherently creepy in concept, but in practice, yeah, I don't think a lot of people would want to wake up to see that looking at them from the end of their bed. We hope it's not too late to throw our hat in the ring for the creepiest object challenge. The library company received this mummy hand in 1767. A gift from famed American painter Benjamin West. Mummy hand, eh? Okay, that kind of just goes back to, you know, the human remains being creepy. Whether it be flesh, bone, blood, hair, it's all sort of human. And it's not all fleshy in nature, but it does sort of give you a visceral feeling of mortality. Most fascinating, Lombard Historical Society. As it turns out, hair art was a way to memorialize a person in the Victorian era. Ooh, so the most fascinating is the hair art. Let's see. No! No! Oh! You guys. This is my biggest pet peeve. I see this all the time on, well, mostly Facebook groups, like antiques groups, oddities groups. Oh, I see this all the time. People will see these framed pictures of babies with hair. Okay, let's see what the Lombard Historical Society has to say about it, and then I will vent. This is our creepiest object. Victorian hair art was a way to memorialize a person. This is a baby's real hair. Extra creepy as it was found behind the wall in a home during a renovation. Okay, so the thing about these pieces, they're not Victorian and they are not memorial. These paintings, and they are paintings. I've seen some people try to pass it off as a real Victorian era photograph. Not a photograph, it's a painting. A mass-produced painting at that. So these are at the very oldest 1920s, but they're very commonly 1930s, even 1940s, well after the Victorian era. And these were mass-produced paintings. The two very prominent painters, if I can think of their names off the top of my head, there was Annie Benson Mueller and Bessie Pease Gutman. Those were two prominent painters of the time. They painted lots of babies and children. They often have names like Heaven's Gift. And they were sold as just the paintings. However, people would do a sort of scrapbook craft with them. They would add their own fabric and baby's hair. But there are a lot of these around. And you will start to see exactly the same baby faces over and over again because they were just paintings and people would just make a nice little craft out of the paintings. They are not memorial. This is not even a painting of their baby. This is a mass-produced baby. So this one gets me so much. I could probably do a whole video about all of the inaccuracies I see portrayed with these baby portraits. Not Victorian, not memorial, mass-produced paintings turned into a craft. Those are the four most important things you need to know about these. And honestly, they're pretty common. If you, I guarantee if you go to eBay and type in like baby painting human hair, you'll probably find a dozen or more. I, in fact, have one in my own collection. I also have the clean, uncut portrait version of it. So you can see them side by side, same size, same baby. One just has dressings of hair and fabric. So it's really just sort of a collage of sorts. So that appears to be the end of this article. They really had to dig in that last baby portrait for me. It's like they know that that's my biggest frustration. But yeah, all in all, in this little sampling of those objects, most of them were hair related, at least tangentially. And this was all, I remind you, under the title of Creepiest Object. So at least these came from museums. A lot of them are in reputable collections. I don't know how often on this particular day there was inaccurate information about the hair, but you do see that in museums sometime, especially with some objects like this. A lot of these explore your archives challenges and whatnot with these museums are just items that they have in the back in storage. They often aren't on display. So it's very possible that the curators of these museums are not experts in these actual items that they're sharing. So sometimes historical inaccuracies and bad information can slip through the cracks on these. And really, at the end of the day, it's all for fun. It's a bunch of museums on social media sharing items that people don't get to see every day. So there's very little harm in it, bad information here and there, but when when you start to see all of these articles about creepy hair art, that's when the creep bait starts to set in. And just you wait. It will start happening more and more as we start getting into autumn here in a couple of months, because it happens every single year. And I know a lot of you probably don't read as many articles about hair and hair art and Victorian antiques as I do. I'd be surprised if anyone does, but all that aside, out of all of the articles that I read about hair art, 8 out of 10 of them pose it as something creepy, and so many of them do not actually share correct information. So I thank you guys for being here on my channel where I'm trying to share better information about these things. Let's get the history out. Let's talk about the sentiment and the why of these pieces. Let's try to pull back the veil and uncreepify these sentimental things. So on that note, that's all we're gonna do for today. But I do want to give a huge, hairy thank you to my supporters on Patreon. You guys are awesome. And if you like to hear me rant and talk about inconsistencies I see in museums, maybe you want to join that Patreon community where I have some bonus vlogs where I visit museums and talk about what I see, the accuracies versus the inaccuracies. So if this informal venting kind of live reaction is your thing, definitely head on over to Patreon and join our community there. But until next time, please do the things so you can see all my future videos. And I'll see you guys next time.